Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about your science lesson. I have created a science lesson folder on the left hand side of your blackboard, and in that folder you will find the level 3 lesson plan template that you are all familiar with because you used that template to create your math unit. Math unit lesson plans have all been graded and feedback is in TEAS 365 in the gradebook, so you can check and see my comments and feedback for your lesson plans. Overall, we did a great job on creating a math unit, and I'm very pleased with the work that you have put into those. We are only creating one out of this template. We're using the template, so we'll have the Anderson and Krathwohl's verbs. We'll have every single thing that you would put into that, except instead of doing 3 lesson plans, you're creating 1 lesson plan for science. It's your only assignment this week for 365 and 341. I would like for the lesson plan to be into me by Friday, November the 2nd, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. That gives me the weekend to look at your lesson plans and give you some constructive feedback on those lesson plans, because the weeks of November the 5th through the 16th are the weeks that we're going to be you will be teaching your science lesson to your students and being observed and critiqued by your mentor teacher using the same TCOR form, evaluation form, and we'll look at that a little more closely so you can explain that to your mentor teacher that I used when I evaluated you and you did your math. So lesson plans in by Friday, feedback, you schedule. I don't need to know the days that you're teaching that. You'll do that, and then you will either email or scan or fax the TCOR evaluation to me, and it needs to be done. I need to receive that TCOR eval within 48 hours of the actual lesson that you've taught it. So make sure your name's on it, and it will be. There's a place for that, but it's very important that I receive the evaluation so you can get the proper credit for that. So we are working with Standard 10 for science, and I do think it's worth the time for me to read that to you. The birth through 3rd grade teacher knows, understands, and uses fundamental concepts in the subject matter of science, including physical, life, and earth and space science, as well as concepts in science and technology. Science in a personal and social perspective, the history and nature of science, the unifying concepts of science, and the inquiry process that scientists use to discover new knowledge and to build a base for science and technology literacy for all children. Make this exciting for the students. Make them understand that they are explorers, they are experimenting, they are finding things out, they're creating a hypothesis. Your textbook curriculum has lots of good information in it, but I need to see and hear that you've done this with great excitement so that we can get students and children to understand that they have so much to learn and explore about cause and effect and the things that are going on in our world. So this should be a really fun lesson for you to put together, and I'll see it hopefully by Friday, and we'll go from there. So we'll be using Standard 10, and the special need that you're going to create an adaptation for in this particular lesson is going to be a sensory processing disorder. And I've provided you with 2 different links that include a definition of what a sensory processing disorder is and adaptations that you can use. These are both very good sites for you to use for this. This is the child who absolutely does not want to participate in the science experience because they're not going to be putting their hands in the GAC, or they're not going to be finger painting with pudding and mixing colors or doing those things. So how can we come up with an adaptation to make science that is messy and hands-on and touching and something that a child with a sensory processing disorder does not enjoy? How can we make it work for that child? So that's our adaptation that we're looking at for this lesson plan. I think that's really all I need to say about the lesson plan, because I want to spend some time talking about the TCOR evaluation. You need to give this to your mentor teacher prior to. I don't think you should just spring it on her when it's time for her to be doing your evaluation, and let her know what we're looking for. You might explain to her that this is a data collection point, that we have to use this form, and that we use it from early childhood all the way from K to 6 and up to secondary. So we worked really hard on creating this form. I was on the committee that created it. But sometimes people will look at it and say, well, it's not really early childhood friendly, but I think that we can make it work. So I'm going to go ahead and open the form up so we can take a look at it. Remember, at this internship, at this level, the expectation is that everyone will be at the proficient level at 2 or above. Proficient, advanced, or exemplary. You're going to make sure that the top part before you give it to your mentor teacher is filled out. You'll put your name, the semester, who's completing the observation. There are 36 possible points on this. Their last one, the last criteria is behavior management, and that's not included in the score, and that's explained at the end of the form. There are 36 possible points. It's going to be the ECU, and it is a field-based observation. And then you need to make sure that your lesson plan has been submitted to your mentor teacher at least 24 hours before you actually teach a lesson, and I'm sure you'll be having lots of conversations and getting your materials ready, and so I know she'll be familiar with your lesson plan. And then your lesson plan will, your mentor teacher will indicate if you met or exceeded the proficient level in all the common criteria areas. The first area, the common criteria that we look at, is learning materials, including applicable technology. Technology, if you do use actual digital tools, needs to be something that's hands-on for the students. They're interacting with that as well, not just you putting the book on Elmo and reading the book off of Elmo. That's not going to meet the criteria that says it's technology used by all students that's appropriate to the content. So also manipulatives and hands-on materials are included and allowed to be in this area of technology. So you can read that. It will help you with your lesson plan, as well as having your mentor teacher asking her to read that. ABCD objective and standards, were they written correctly? If you want to end up in the category for exemplary, then you would need to have made sure that it is in the ABCD format, that it aligns with the KSDE early learning standards, and that it's appropriate for the level of your students. And that's what it takes to get an exemplary on in this criteria area. Pedagogical content knowledge would be the verbal and nonverbal skills that you use to communicate with your students. Did you have your anticipatory set? Did you have your modeling? And did you have your closure? That's what's included in this area. Questioning techniques. For many of you, this is an emergent skill. It's something that we're working on in an internship. So just make sure that you are asking your knowledge, skills, reasoning questions. You're asking them at the beginning, the middle, and the end of your lesson plan, and that they are something that is applicable and appropriate and enhancing to your lesson. So your mentor teacher will be looking at your questioning skills. Content knowledge, this is so important. It's just really exciting to me when I hear students, candidates say, remember last week when we went to the pumpkin patch, this is what happened. Well, this week we're talking about this concept, and it's tied in, it's connected, and next week we're going to be talking about something else, and it's all going to be, you know, flowing in one big picture. And I hear people doing that, and that's awesome. So you want to make sure that it's related to past experience, and that the assessments link to your objectives. I should be seeing rubrics in there, so that not just anecdotal observation. I need to see something that's more tangible and that's going to actually be a record of what you are assessing the students on. Adaptations, again, the reteach and the enrichment, and then the adaptation for the student who possibly has a special need. Those need to be included in your lesson plans, and for the most part we've done a great job with that. Assessment, I touched on that a little bit. So please read the criteria for that and make sure you're aware of the assessment. And then communication, written and oral skills. There should not be any grammatical or typo errors in your actual lesson plan. I know that, and I guess it's an excuse, but I email a lot and I write a lot, and I know that sometimes I do have a typo, but I don't have a typo in information that's going out to parents. I would not have a typo in a lesson plan, so just be sure that you go through and you proofread. Professionalism, remember professional dress. I think most of you are remembering the fact that jeans are not something that we allow to be worn during internships. So remember that professional dress. Keep that up throughout the end of the semester. And I feel like you are all very good at accepting constructive feedback. Everybody's been, done a great job with that. So we get done. We have the behavior, the discipline, specific criteria, and we're going to see, was there behavior management, and then there's not descriptors, but this is not added into your overall score. If your mentor teacher would like to write comments, or if she would like to just do a running record like I do and just attach that, that's great. Just this is what I saw, this is what I didn't see. Any of that will be fine. So that's the T-Core. That's what you're trying to accomplish and do when you're teaching your lesson plan. I want to remind you in this last few minutes that I have, reflections, this folder, this is where you will submit reflection 2. Reflection 2 is found in assignments. So you go to the assignment tab and you can open up the actual reflection folder. Maybe it's in start from here. Hang on just a minute. It should be. Oh, reflections throughout the semester. So your reflection 2 is due 48 hours after you have completed the math observation that I observed you doing, and I was just going to pull, it's the same format, but it's just for that one day. So the brief sequencing of events is just going to be specifically dealing with what you taught on the day that you did your math lesson plan, what happened. Remember, when you're doing your elaboration, you're going to focus on something that specifically happened in the lesson, and then your analysis needs to include theory. Theory and or research that's related to a strength or a weakness that you found in your actual teaching performance. So that's all I really have to talk to you about today. I think that if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. Like I said, for TEAS 365, writing the lesson plan is the assignment, and then there will be another assignment given to you towards the end of the week for TEAS 365. So I've enjoyed watching you teach your math lessons. Many of you have done an excellent job, and I feel like it's always a learning process, and that's what internships are for. So I'm excited to hear about the feedback from your science lesson, from your mentor teacher. Remember, if things are going really, really well, I want to hear that. I love to hear celebrations. If you think there's something that's not going so well, or you have questions about, please be in contact with me. Skype hours for sure, Thursday evenings from 7:30 to 9. And I am looking forward to seeing those science lessons.